SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show, with hundreds of events listed, live concerts, sporting events, and so much more. Go on to SeatGeek.com, enter promo code Snake Sports Talk Show, and save yourself $20 off your first purchase.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are back yet again on a Wednesday night. Halfway from ending the week. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching and listening. iHeartRadio, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok. Those are the things to like, follow, subscribe. The bell button for all latest notifications on everything you need on this show. Taylor joining me. By the way, happy kicking off of the 2023 NFL season, bottom half of the hour. Taylor and I will be discussing the prime predictions of the 2023 season. So good to have you on, my man. Honestly, I got to say, that breakdown from last night's show, man, is just getting me geared up for Thursday night and what the entirety of the season is going to look like.
I'm so excited for tomorrow night. It's going to be great. Oh, man, I'm so excited for the NFL.
And just like that, for those you don't want to lose your seat, and even in the NFL season, check out SeatGeek, $20 off of your first purchase. So keep your seat in check this NFL season with SeatGeek. All right. So first of all, the 2023 season is upon us. There's an awful lot of stories that are meant to be brought to the light. And I think the interesting part is of this NFL season. Now we have the Lions and the Chiefs. Okay, that's the first game tomorrow night. My biggest thing is I look around the NFL and all these teams. I mean, you watched how they built themselves on offense. You've watched how they built themselves on defense. Many of them fired coaches, hired new coaches, fired coordinators, hired coordinators. I mean, it's kind of an every year usual thing. And there's a slogan. There's usually about 6, 7, if not 8 head coaching spots that become available for the next season. That's just the norm. You either do make the cut or you don't make the cut. But the most important thing that when you look at in this NFL season, look around you of all the offenses from both the AFC and the NFC. The AFC is a complete quarterback it's a complete quarterback factory. Mahomes, Herbert, Burrow, Allen, Trevor Lawrence. There's so many really good quarterbacks, and they've just gotten a couple of new ones, CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. Both of them could be pretty special quarterbacks, but all of that will be left to be said. And then there's a mixture of quarterbacks who will give you good performances on any given Sunday. In the NFC, it's different. The only really good elite quarterback that I think we can put him on this list is Jalen Hurts. Outside of that, you got quarterbacks that are capable of winning. Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy. Even in Matthew Stafford, for as good as his talent is, he's still capable of winning you ball games. You know, that's just kind of the given. But the fact of the matter is that this NFL season, if you look around in all the offenses from both AFC and NFC, doesn't it kind of almost have a similar blueprint like what Kansas City put together? Mind you, Kansas City, when Andy Reid arrived, he arrived with Alex Smith as his quarterback, had a bunch of good weapons and a really good run game from Kareem Hunt. And this was also the shape-up of Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Then they took a chance at a quarterback at Patrick Mahomes. Groomed him, played 2 games at the end of that regular season, and then in 2018, it was a full season on his belt. And he had been phenomenal and dominant. And Andy Reid, who comes from a really good coaching tree, and from Philadelphia, he had Donovan McNabb as his quarterback, still managed to make it to the Super Bowl, but didn't really overcome that obstacle. Lost to the Patriots, goes in with the Chiefs, goes to the Super Bowl again, and he finally wins it. But that offense being as dynamic and just clever, because you also had Eric Bieniemy as an offensive coordinator. But all this had Andy Reid's blueprints on it. Now look around in the league. You've got Chargers got some new weapons, or Jacksonville got some new weapons. Washington, a lot of teams in the AFC and the NFC all kind of followed the blueprint of what Kansas City did, which I think is clever. And it really does speak a lot about how great the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid really are. The only unfortunate thing is that even buying Patrick Mahomes does come with a cost. Right now, Chris Jones is holding out. And it's a price you initially pay. But this season, what I'm excited for, and Taylor and I, last night, we broke down all of our division winners and our wild card teams and some that could be looking up on the hunt. I got 4 teams in the AFC that are in the hunt and about 3 in the NFC. But I'm very confident in the Dolphins, the Bills, the Chargers, the Browns, several teams I am very, very confident in. But this NFC is going to be very, very interesting. Even some of those weapons were also really, really talented. But all it's going to take is the quarterbacks you have and the head coaches that really can help you to get over the top. This NFL season is going to be very electrifying, but I think we might have 3 or 4 teams that might underachieve. Most of them may be in the NFC. We probably may see some teams in the AFC. We don't know quite yet, but I think there's going to be about 4 teams that might underachieve. That may be about it. But this NFL season is going to be great. All right. I wanted to retrack real quick for about 5 minutes. So last night I talked about, the quarterback factory that we potentially have in college football right now, because we initially thought that there were 2 quarterbacks that came in this thing, Caleb Williams and Drake May. Now there's about 8 or 9 quarterbacks. The reason I'm retracting this is because if you're an NFC franchise, knowing how humongous the quarterback factory is in the AFC, you're probably going to want to end up upgrading at some point. Options. The only 2 that give me questions about their talent is Quinn Ewers and Jackson Dart. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers, he's raw, little too loose, doesn't really kind of, button himself up when it comes to making smart throws or making plays. That doesn't usually translate well in the NFL. And Jackson Dart, they just dominated against one of, I would say, probably a cupcake program. But Ole Miss is still good, but I'm leaving that in the air for Jackson Dart, because if he gives me one really good game, either in an SEC game or whether it's, probably one of the best, programs in the nation, then I could reconsider. But the NFC, look at the quarterbacks in the NFC. I mean, outside of Jalen Hurts, you have Dak Prescott, who's got lower body issues and has been throwing a ton of picks. He threw 15 picks last season. There's a question mark, and there's a reason they ended up acquiring Trey Lance. They were trying to really boost themselves up at quarterback and give him a slight push. Kirk Cousins, love him as a family man, love him as a person, but sometimes you need to show up on serious games, the ones that matter, playoff games, primetime games. You need to show up for all of them. Kirk Cousins, sometimes it's questionable. Jordan Love in Green Bay. Does this thing really work? I mean, I don't know. He sat for at least a few years under Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers did the same thing with Brett Favre. Maybe this could work. I don't know. And then, is Jared Goff the guy in Detroit? I'm not just looking in the NFC North, but I'm looking at a lot of these NFC quarterbacks. I mean, is Daniel Jones really worth $45 million a year? And then the same thing I would basically say about, the same I would honestly say about, Justin Fields. Justin Fields is 5-20 as a quarterback, and he could look like a potential bust. I don't think he will this year. Hopefully his stocks really do go on the rise, but there's a possibility of that too. All I'm saying is that for the NFC, they find hidden gems for their quarterbacks, whether it's the second round or right about down to the 7th, because that's how San Francisco landed Brock Purdy. But there's 2nd, 4th, 5th round quarterbacks that all just become hidden gems. But look at the quarterbacks we got this past weekend. Shedeur Sanders, Riley Leonard, Michael Penix Jr., all these Bo Nix, all these quarterbacks look dynamic. Like, if you're the NFC, you got to ask yourself, don't you want to upgrade your quarterback class? Don't you want to upgrade your factory? And it's like we talked about earlier about, quality over quantity. Yeah, you need a quarterback, but wouldn't you want a quality quarterback, though? Like a Herbert or a Mahomes or a Burrow or a Lawrence or an Allen? The NFC, all they got is Jalen Hurts. I mean, I'm not giving up hope at Jared Goff, but still, I mean, I would think that if I'm the NFC, I look at that kid at Washington, who I haven't seen an accurate football thrown for a lefty since Michael Vick. Okay, so there's a possibility of that, but you got to protect his blind side. You got to give him an O-line. You got to give him offense. So there's possibilities there. But I think if you're the NFC, honestly, I'd be having a wake-up call. Do I really want to trust Dak for the next 2-3 years? Do I really want to hope that Desmond Ridder actually works in Atlanta? Too many question marks. But like I said, if I'm the NFC, I really, really would be dying for an elite quarterback, and at least an elite quarterback prospect, to say the least. Good stuff. I mean, Taylor, like I said, the AFC is just so stacked of quarterbacks that I looked at these quarterbacks over the weekend, and like I said, retracting the NFC, are they really going to trust Desmond Ridder? Are they really going to hope that Dak Prescott, after 15 picks last season, that he's going to be hopeful for the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, I would love to extend the factory starting with Jalen Hurts. I mean, you get Michael Penix, you get a lot of these quarterbacks in here. The only two, Quinn Ewers and Jackson Dart, I'm holding off on. But I think Quinn Ewers, he's not going to translate well. But Jackson Dart, there might be hope. Just give me an SEC team that's capable of, putting on a good show, because I don't need any more of these cupcake games. But I think the NFC, you kind of want to match with the AFC, right?
I mean, absolutely. The NFC has been so lean on quarterbacks over the past, decade. Like, I haven't seen anybody in the NFC that's been better than a Mahomes or a Herbert or an Allen in years, right? And the fact that Jalen Hurts, look, I really like Jalen Hurts as a player, but the fact that he is the best quarterback that we have over there, it says a lot. It means that the landscape is not pretty at all. You have so many teams lacking a quarterback over there that they have to start looking at these college quarterbacks a lot more closely, because Desmond Ridder, you're right. Desmond Ridder is not the answer. Dak is definitely not the answer. And I heard that he's been throwing a ton of interceptions at camp. There's Brock Purdy. People love Brock Purdy. And look, Brock Purdy's nice. I've seen a bunch of, I'd take Brock Purdy over Herbert stuff. You're insane.
No.
What is this?
Like, here's the thing. You put Brock Purdy in that Chargers offense, I mean, it just doesn't mesh well because Kellen Moore wants more. He wants more explosiveness. That's why you couldn't get much out of Dak, even though the offense was top 5 in the league. But that's because he didn't want Dak to end up making mistakes. And then all of a sudden he throws 15 picks. Luckily, the offense was productive, but still, it's like it just doesn't work. And the thing, and this is what's the beauty about Kyle Shanahan. He's not really somebody that really wants a elite dynamic quarterback. He just wants
he doesn't need one.
The system.
Yep.
And that's
he
why
needs a manager. He needs a game manager.
Yeah, that's why I think Purdy works so well. But even in the reality, I think when you have a Herbert or a Burrow or a Mahomes, anything could go your way. You just got to give it time, and you got to think off script in some of these plays. There's a time where you could stick to the script, but after a while, it's just not going to really get you anywhere.
Absolutely, and just to go back to the putting Brock on the Chargers, if you reverse that and you put Herbert on the 49ers, they probably win a Super Bowl last year.
Oh, 100%. I mean, with a defense full of all-stars.
Yeah.
And And now, hey, we're going to be talking about it later on. Now they just kept their pass rusher for 5 more years. So
absolutely.
That's why I'm like, there's a lot of hope for San Francisco, but I'm sure he'll think about that later on. All right, coming up next. So, like I said, over the weekend, we know that there was a bunch of games that were just outstanding. But the question we really have to ask ourselves is this the time Clemson is going through a reality check? And is this maybe potentially the end of Dabo Sweeney's era? I'll explain why that could be a possibility all coming up next. And then bottom half of the hour, prime predictions 2023, week 1. You don't want to end up missing that. All right, everybody, like I said, this NFL season, you don't want to end up missing your seat with SeatGeek. They've got plenty of options for your seat this NFL season, all at the click of a button. All you got to do is find your seat at the reasonable price. We look a lot, we sometimes see a lot from different websites that are just overpriced. I know these times are tough, but SeatGeek has you covered this NFL season for your affordable seat, best seat in the house, to enjoy the experience at your next event, whether it's your next football game, or your next concert, or whatever it may be. Use SeatGeek today, promo code SNAKESPORTS, and save yourself at checkout $20 off. That's promo code SNAKESPORTS at SeatGeek.com. Download the app and save your seat with SeatGeek.
If I want it, gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving.
Bitch, I'm a ball, bitch, I'm a ball. Don't get no fuck, don't get no fuck. What's in my cup? What's in my cup? Full of that punch, nigga, that punch. Bitch, I'm a ball, ballin' like Kobe. Ho, keep it moving, cause you do not know me. Bitch, I'm a ball, ballin' like Kobe. Ho, keep it moving, cause you do not know me. Bitch, I'm a ball, can't talk in Milwaukee. Tell my dog sick of me, ain't do no barking. Catch me some greens, you know I'ma spark it. Mama got ass, told her to arch it. Pull up at the spot, hop out and don't park it. Bino say, always keep one in the cartridge. With Joey out pepper, so we going toxic. Came from the swamp to visit the tropics. Check out the scenery. Fell little mama to the backwoods right by the lake. And I had some weed on me. Had to retire my cup, but it still doubled up. So pour out some lean for me. We took an edible, feeling incredible. Fed away into the sheets. Hustle and flow as you need.
Folks, if you haven't checked out one brand that is big on the underdogs, definitely check out True Victory. True Victory is a military veteran-owned company that are big on the underdogs, whether it's military vets from nationwide, athletes as the underdogs, so much more. True Victory is true to their craft, and they are true to themselves in every way possible, and True Victory ensures that you show off your true colors and share your story with every fitting apparel. Use promo code Snake Sports, save 15% off all your purchases using True Victory apparel. And share your story and show off your gear with TrueVictory.com. That's True Victory. True to thyself. All right. Well, folks, like I mentioned before, just about, headed into the break, I'm really curious about Dabo Sweeney, honestly. Because here's the thing. I have not seen the cleverness of Clemson in the last few seasons since Trevor Lawrence entered the NFL. It has been unfortunate with just the way the ACC has gone. I'm starting to see the resurgence of of Florida State with Jordan Travis, and honestly, that Riley Leonard kid that embarrassed Clemson that Monday night, he's going to be another kid. And right now, their window's closing. But here's the thing about Clemson. Since they had Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, Dabo Sweeney looked like a winning coach. We thought he was better than Nick Saban. We thought he was better than Lincoln Riley. We thought he was better than Kirby Smart in Georgia. Well, right now it doesn't seem to be clever in Clemson. And it seems like the tides are falling. And it's unfortunate. Clemson needs to be clever. They need something new. I just don't think Dabo Sweeney, since Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, has he found the next big thing. By the way, DJ Ugalele, I mean, he had 5 touchdowns in his Oregon State, in his debut. And that's another one who came from the Clemson tree. The fact of the matter is that college football is adapting every year. That's why we saw the massive amount of quarterbacks that performed at the highest level. And Clemson, what do they got to offer? You ain't got much of an offense. You barely have much of an offensive line. And don't even get me started with defense. Like, this is starting to feel like Clemson's time is really ending. It's fallen apart. There's no way that this era could honestly continuously carry on. I mean, I like Dabo Sweeney when the time was fun, but in the end, it just really hasn't looked the same for those old Clemson Tigers. And like I said, it's unfortunate that it's literally came to these things, but sometimes it does happen. And these are always the narratives we get in college football all the time. I mean, it's just sad and unfortunate. But I hope that, like Dabo Sweeney, he either gets clever or he gets gone. Because to be honest, the ACC looks to be fine with Duke and Florida State. And there's other teams that are going to be up and on the horizon. And like I said, you got Drake May up in North Carolina who's just tearing it up. So it's not like the ACC or the college football world needs Dabo Sweeney. There are plenty of coaches and plenty of different trees and plenty of coordinators and plenty of quarterbacks that could change the narrative. I mean, good God. A lot of things have changed with Clemson. They just haven't looked clever. They look dull. It looks boring. And they just need a serious, serious cleanup. I think if you ask me, this era's over. Dabo Sweeney honestly needs to be clever or he's gone. I mean, that's just kind of the ultimatum that you need to leave him for Clemson. They haven't been that great at quarterback since Trevor Lawrence entered the league. And then since then, they haven't really found their replacement quarterback. They haven't even gotten dynamic with their offensive receivers. And they used to have really good ones. DeAndre Hopkins. You had so many really good receivers. DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams. It's just not the same anymore. Like, Clemson has just been completely exposed. And you're hiding the talent. Just not going to work this way in college, let alone work in the NFL. Like, listen, coaches, like college coaches who get NFL jobs, you got to learn to translate. Because if you don't translate into the NFL, says a lot about your craft. And look, I love Matt Rule, but I knew he was a college coach. He wasn't going to be deemed to be an NFL coach, even though he tried, but he learned a lot. I mean, look at Nick Saban. He tried as an NFL coach, knew he was one of the greatest college coaches. And in the end, like, you're not building your craft. You're not building your program. You're not building a lot of these kids. I mean, it's not going to work. And I just think that their time has literally been done. Taylor with the news. This is the Hot Press.
What is up, guys? Well, I don't know if you guys heard, but Kelsey, we just got an update on him, and his knee is doing better than expected. We thought originally that it could have been an ACL tear. Thankfully, it is a contusion on his knee that's caused swelling. He's most likely missing this week, but he should be back within 3 weeks, that's great news.
Yeah. Yeah, and they even said, like, because that supposedly was a bone bruise from what I've heard, and so, like, again, lucky it's not an ACL, because that would have completely exposed Kansas City. And even if he's out for 3 weeks, look, I think that the 3 weeks he's gone, and then yet here's the other thing: Chris Jones still doesn't have a contract, so these prime predictions, when we read them off, is going to be really something interesting. Because in the end, like, I'm going with Detroit in this one. I love the points. I mean, you and I have saw the line. And the fact that it added this way, there is zero reason that Kansas City is going to score. Like, they're not going to score that many points. I think it's just, honestly, the defense is going to look like it's going to get lit up. And there's a point where the offense, you got to be Patrick Mahomes reliant. But how much more can you do that? At least it's 3 weeks, because, to be honest, Kansas City, their best hopes is to go 2-1 or they go 1-2. That's just me personally with Travis Kelce's sideline.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Now, Chris Jones is sitting out, but you know who isn't? Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa signs a $170 million contract that is 5 years. It's $122 million in guarantees. That's a huge signing. We thought that it would get done. You know he's going to be ready to go. And now the 49ers have their rusher that is just going to continue to eat up defenses for a long time. I'm glad to see that he's not holding out any longer.
Yeah, after that point, I love you, Kenny Pickett, but good luck this Sunday because now you got that pass rusher for a very expensive. Listen, the Bosa family is just living at large. They're literally living at large. Joey Bosa got 102 guaranteed. Now his brother's got 122 and a half. Like, good Lord, they're set for a long time. Even though, the jury is kind of there for Joey Bosa because you hope he gets his act right and he does bring that pass rush feel that the Chargers need because it can't always just be Khalil Mack. He's getting up in age too. But,
absolutely.
You have to think. The Niners, Nick Bosa was very, very fast and still is. You got Eric Armstead. You got Fred. That's the thing is their linebacking core really complements with this pass rush.
It's nasty.
And you could not leave out Nick Bosa in the middle of that. So
he's a cog to that entire machine. And it's just good because the Bosas, they'll hold strong on contract negotiations. They don't care. They'll sit out. I've seen it. We've both seen it with Joey before, right? So Nick, I know, wasn't afraid to do that. I'm glad that he signed.
Yeah, I'm super glad that he signed. And like I said, that is hopeful that we knew San Francisco fans, they were feeling a bit of this, but now they could be relieved. They can enjoy Sunday knowing he's probably going to be hungry against Pittsburgh. So and that's a good deadline game, honestly. I'm excited to see how San Francisco really plays out, but good for Nick Bosa on that.
Absolutely. The next update that we have is Cooper Kupp has been ruled out for week 1. This is unfortunate. We all know that he had that minor setback with his soft tissue hamstring injury. He's older now. And this could be a lingering injury throughout the season. We've seen it with like the likes of Keenan Allen, where they get back on the field too soon and then they re-injure it just a couple weeks later. So we got to keep mindful that Cooper Kupp could be in and out this season for a while.
Yeah, and this is the thing is like, look, Sean McVay knew the price that he was getting himself into the second he traded those first-round picks. Got a Super Bowl, good for them. But now this is where things need to get serious about your future. I love Cooper Kupp, but yes, he's getting up there in age, and yes, he's starting to become injury prone. But look at a lot of these receivers. There's not really a whole lot of guarantee. Look, we could talk about Kansas City's wide receiving core all we want, but this doesn't really have a whole lot of promise on it. Tutu Atwell's looking like a bust. And, and again, Matthew Stafford, and this is the other thing that was a hard point. Because with Cooper Kupp being injury prone, Matt Stafford came out and he said he has no connection with his young core. But what does that tell you? It's just going to smell a lot of trouble with the Rams this season.
Yeah, and their top wide receiver is going to be Van Jefferson. That's not a great option to go to. However, I do think in terms of fantasy, at least, that Tyler Higbee is going to have an uptick, and the tight end might be a little bit happier than we expect. But other than that, it's dire straits for the Rams.
Yeah, and to be totally honest, too, like, keep your eye on Cam Akers. I know, there's been a point where they really had a hard time with him, but at this point, with their wide receivers down, like, you kind of want to have a pass-catching running back because that's really – and this is the other thing. This is kind of what built the success for Austin Eckler to be to this point. A lot of these pass-catching running backs, sometimes it comes with a little push and a little shove in order for them to really kind of build up that offense.
Absolutely. Now, this news is a little bit left field, but I am a big fan of pickleball, and it's now a pro scene with a lot of money being flung around by the likes of LeBron James, Tom Brady, and everybody. So the PPA and the MLP were set to have a merger. That merger seems to be in shambles currently, where the MLP wants to pay the players and the PPA does not. So the MLP has signed a lot of the big name players like Riley Newman, like Georgia Johnson, J.W. Johnson. They've signed all those players, and the PPA is missing out, and MLP went completely silent. So it's not good. But all I know is Tom Brady, LeBron James, Drew Brees, all those guys that have invested a large amount of money into these pickleball teams, they're going to be a lot happier with this decision because they're getting a lot more recognition in this league.
I mean, really, you have to ask yourself. Like, I know for me personally, in a relevant story like this, but PPA is almost sounding like the PGA. Okay, like, look, I love golf. Okay, like I would love to be at a, either looking on a television or I'd love to be at one of the openers just to see Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, a lot of these guys. And it's because they got their egos in the way that, like, oh, we're not going to take this Saudi money from, Live Golf. Then they just came up with a deal. Like, what are we talking about here? We want to, it is 2023. Can we just get over our egos sometimes? Like, look, like any business deal, I'm not very stingy, and neither am I the kind that is very, like, I'm very strong, like, on this side. Like, I will not convert, because what is the point of that? I just think that when you get to a point, you have to ask yourselves, like, even for our audience, like, ask yourselves, do you get to a point where you literally fight that much tooth and nail because you won't change, really? Like, you won't be adaptable? What is the problem with this? Like, in 2023, you got to be adaptable. You got to be able to learn something new. If they can't really get onto the same page, like, again, PGA, the second Phil Mickelson and all those guys left for Live Golf. I mean, since Tiger Woods retired, they have nothing. So they're literally looking at themselves like, well, we don't want to lose any more stars. So if I'm the PPA, I'd be sitting down and I'd be like, look, whatever you have on your mind, get a grip. It's 2023. By the way, these stars are throwing money at them, like LeBron and Tom Brady. Like, they want this thing to happen. So
they want it to pop up.
Like,
people are willing to invest in this sport because it's a super fast growing sport. The scene is brand new. Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So it's interesting to see the PPA legitimately just say, we don't want to pay our players as much as you're paying your players. They think that the MLP pays them too much. I think it's crazy, especially considering that some of these athletes, like the top paid athlete gets paid $100,000.
Yes.
Like that's not a lot in terms of pro athlete pay. Like, cough up the money for your top athletes and you'll have a very good product on the court.
And here's what I'll say as a small side note, okay? Because you and I, we've been to these parks here in Vegas, okay? Clark County, they've already made that contract where they put together pickleball courts. So they're all in. And you're talking about a government entity that is living for these moments. Why wouldn't you want to, back that? I even heard somewhere in the Midwest, there's a restaurant that's called Chicken and Pickle.
We have one coming here.
Yes. So it's like, come on, we're feeding the
It's exploding, man.
Yeah, like, get with the program already. Like, look,
absolutely.
PGA and Live Golf, they finally said, oh, yes, let's shake hands, because we've been in bed with Saudi forever. So it's like, this is no coincidence to us. Listen, gas prices are getting higher and higher. Do you really want them to get that much higher? Make a deal. Like, just shut your traps, keep your egos to yourselves, and let's make a deal. Let's not, piggy. Let's not piggy around with this.
Absolutely.
But is that all we got for today?
That is all we got.
Oh, there we go. Taylor with the news.
This is the Hot Press.
All right, folks, coming up next, it is the bottom half of the hour that we've been waiting for. Jake's Prime Predictions 2023. He got me energetic there after that whole freaking PPA thing. Like, good Lord. Listen, can we just enjoy, like, any of these people even, like, go to bars or restaurants or something and just pour them up a cocktail, sit down, joke around, kind of shoot the craps, whatever people do these days. And let's just come to a deal. Let's make pickleball happen. Seriously, it's a growing sport. Vegas is big on it. I'm all for it. All right. I'm getting ahead of myself. Prime Predictions coming up around the corner. It's the Snake Sports Talk Show.
SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show, with hundreds of events listed, live concerts, sporting events, and so much more. Go on to SeatGeek.com, enter promo code Snake Sports Talk Show, and save yourself $20 off your first purchase.
Good to have you back here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. And as we always know, too, this is the time of year where the NFL season just gets even more interesting. So we're at the bottom half of the hour and the fun part of the hour, and we'll also have our picks submitted on all of our social medias as well on the Snake Sports Talk Show. There they are right down here. All these social medias. Like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell button for all latest notifications. Keep you up to date, guys, because these picks right here are fire. Taylor, I'm excited for this. So, to bring everybody up on this, Prime Predictions has been going strong for the last couple of years, and even the last few times this show has existed. And so, like I said, we have had kind of a challenging last season, but still finished it off strong. I am big into what the NFL Prime Predictions are going to be this year because there is so many headlining stories, offenses that are just waiting to explode. So I can't wait for what this year is honestly going to be like for not only myself, but I've got my partner in crime with Taylor here with us this year. This is going to be exciting stuff, my man. Are you ready for what's going to be stored for week one?
I'm so excited, man. I sat back the other night and I was just like, oh man, it's only 2 sleeps until I get to watch some football again. So I'm just on board all the way.
All right. Well, with that being said, here is the 2023 Jake's Prime Predictions. Week 1, all odds are provided as well. And here we go.
Let's turn it up. It's Jake's Prime Predictions.
Oh, just had a little bit of a technical difficulty there. Not to worry. Oh. Why it went that way? Got that one. There we go. We got a little ahead of ourselves. All right, here we go.
Lions at Chiefs.
After hearing about the news on Travis Kelce, who's got luckily a bone bruise, and all the things that I basically had mentioned about this, I'm going to go the Lions plus 6.5. First of all, I love the Chiefs, and I know the Chiefs are opening up in Arrowhead, but slow things down. Chris Jones is holding out. The defense doesn't really look like themselves. And let's be honest, who am I trusting on Kansas City's offense? Guy Moore? You're really going to give that much for a guy that, like I said, I'm not saying he's unproven, but what I'm saying is that I think when you look at the offense, and we know how clever Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is, But here's what I will say about the Lions. The Lions last season, they got off to a start where they were in shootouts. Ben Johnson really shaped up this team. For the first 4 to 5 weeks, they had the number one best offense. But their defense really took a toll. So this year, they've upgraded at tight end with Matt Laporta or with Sam Laporta out of Iowa. And then they've also got a couple of defensive pieces. I think tomorrow night it's really going to show for itself. I'll take the points at the Lions, and I'm going to go with a 28-27. Detroit wins by a close one in Kansas City.
Panthers at Falcons.
So this is a tough one. Now, I know that the Panthers, I love them this season, but I'm going to go with the Falcons here in this one at -3. Here's the thing. NFC South games are usually very unpredictable. So I think the Falcons, and they've been very strong at home. By the way, don't count out Arthur Smith's offense because of just the way that it has been shaped. My thing about the Falcons, they've upgraded a few pieces. Offensive line looks to be decent, and they do like Desmond Ridder. I'm not saying the kid's bad. I just have a question mark of him. But if I'm facing against a rookie quarterback like Bryce Young, I'm going to get the best out of this defense. They got Jesse Bates. They got a few other really good players, even A.J. Terrell in the backfield for the corners. I really like with what the Falcons are going to shape up and comfortable at home. You know that Arthur Blank really loves it when his team is comfortable at home. I'm going to take the points there at -3. Atlanta wins comfortably 27-21 against Bryce Young and that new look Carolina offense.
Jaguars at Colts.
No-brainer. I'm definitely going the Jaguars at -3.5. Listen, I'm not one to basically, talk petty about the Colts, but I'm really sick and tired of just, Jim Irsay opening up his mouth. I feel bad for the Colts. But despite all of that, the Jags are definitely in cruise control in this AFC South. This offense, by the way, it had a little bit of some adjustments from the first 2 weeks last season, but then that offense started to really take off. I think Doug Peterson in his second year in a full season, the Jags are going to look comfortable. Travis Etienne looks healthy. And they've added Calvin Ridley. This is going to be really, really something special for the Jags moving forward in this one. I'm going to take them to win on the road in Indianapolis. Not going to be as easy as simple, but I do like their offense set more than Indianapolis with Jonathan Taylor sitting out. I'm going to take them to win 28-20 on the road against that horrific Colts offense.
49ers at Steelers.
Hearing the news about Nick Bosa, I love the fact that the 49ers get more juiced up each and every single day. Brock Purdy is definitely the real deal with Kyle Shanahan's offense. We know it's not going to be an easy matchup against Pittsburgh, but I'm going to take San Francisco with the points at 2.5. Listen, this offense really was dynamic, and the fact that you've got Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and several other options. Oh, and by the way, did you also know that when Christian McCaffrey is on the field, the Niners win more majority of their games, and this is without Brock Purdy. So they've got a real good game winner in Christian McCaffrey, which is going to be very strong for the 49ers to really get a hold of. And I think with Nick Bosa's contract, this sets the tone that this defense is going to go all out in this point. So I like the Niners 27-23. Give me those points. And Nick Bosa is going to be hungry against that Pittsburgh offense.
Cardinals at Commanders.
So the thing about the Cardinals is they are just completely just a tire fire, and they're without Kyler Murray. I'm taking the Washington Commanders at 6 on this one. And here's the thing. Sam Howell, by the way, had a very impressive preseason for the Commanders this year. Jahan Dotson, second year. I think he's going to look really, really good for the most part. And this offense, this is their only chances that they could really be something special in the NFC East, because you got the Cowboys, you got the Eagles, and you've also got bits and pieces of the Giants with Brian Dable. But Washington looks like they've got kind of an interesting yet fun offense. The difference is Chase Young going to be healthy on defense? Defensively, might not translate the same, but it's okay. They got themselves a little bit of a break with Arizona to start out with. I'll take the Commanders to win on a big-time show-up, 28-17 at home. Commanders look to command things on the home opener.
Bengals at Browns.
Look at this several times, but I am very confident that I'm going with the Cleveland Browns in this one at plus 2.5. Listen, if you look at, Joe Burrow's career against the Browns, not a great record, and he doesn't play well with this. And I think the reason of this, look at the first 2 seasons that Joe Burrow had in his career. Offensive line was not strong. Myles Garrett got to him almost 9 out of 10 times against that offensive line. Now, I like it. I like Leo Collins. I do like a couple of their real good pieces. But Myles Garrett is too much of a force to stop. And I think the Browns, Deshaun Watson looks like he is not distracted this year. And you've got Amari Cooper and you've got Elijah Moore. So you've got some options out there. So I'm going to take the Browns to win at home as an AFC North matchup. I love the Bengals all season long, but the Browns are definitely something interesting to keep an eye on. 24-23, give me those 2.5 points.
Titans at Saints.
People really like Derek Carr and the Saints. I do too. But you're facing off against an AFC opponent in your first week. I'm going to take the Titans here at plus 3. Now, I know it's a surprise because, first of all, you got an offense with Tennessee that a lot of people are not really hopeful about Ryan Tannehill. But they did get DeAndre Hopkins. What does that mean? That means Treylon Burks is going to really look to light things up this year. Here's the thing about the defense with the Titans. They never quit. Jeffrey Simmons. You also have Harold Landry. They are healthy. They signed Sean Murphy-Bunting. Tennessee's defense really looks good, and I love Mike Vrabel for being that kind of grit type of coach. Very strong. I think the Titans really can do this on the road against New Orleans. Now, I think it's going to be interesting, but I think it's going to be about as close as a game as you're going to keep it. I'm going to give the Titans the win here, plus 3 on the road against New Orleans. And Derek Carr, very familiar quarterback out of AFC, 24-21. Titans tighten their game up, and they make a big statement in week 1.
Buccaneers at Vikings.
Here's what's interesting. Even though I like the Vikings, I don't think week 1, they're really going to have all their stuff buttoned up together. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers at plus 6.5. Now, listen, it's not to say that Minnesota will not win this game. They will. But they're going to get exposed in some areas because, first of all, you're coming off of Adam Thielen and you've got Jordan Addison. That's going to be interesting. Now, I think the offense really will be good, but you don't have Dalvin Cook. And Alexander Madison, he had some real good rushes, 5 yards per carry in those. But the only thing is that defense for the Vikings is not going to look that great. Now, I know what people are saying. Mike Evans, his contract disputes and all the rest of it. Yes, that is true. Chris Godwin is healthy, and it sucks that they're missing Russell Gage again. But I think that if you really look, forward on this, Rachaad White is a pretty good piece. I think Tampa's really going to make it interesting, but it's going to come up to their defense showing up. I'll take the points at 6.5 for the Bucs, but Minnesota will still come out on top at week 1, 27-24. But there are going to be some question marks I'm going to be looking at between Kirk Cousins and that offense.
Texans at Ravens.
Go with the Ravens here in this one, and this is kind of more of my risky pick at 9.5. I know it's a lot of points to swallow, but here's the thing. You've got a brand new coach in his first game, and he's a defensive coach. I know they've revamped the defense a little bit more, but You've also got a coach with experience in Jim Harbaugh. He knows how to play against these rookie quarterbacks in C.J. Stroud. I think that the defense for the Baltimore Ravens is really going to get to C.J. Stroud. I think this is just about as reasonable of a pick that I could get it, and it is worth the risk. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens with a loaded Lamar Jackson offense, new offensive coordinator, new pieces, Baltimore to win this thing 31-20 against the Texans at home.
Rams and Seahawks.
Doesn't change my mind at all about how I felt about this matchup with Cooper Kupp being out, but I'm going to take the Seahawks here at -5. My thing about the Seahawks, they are upgraded on offense with Jackson Smith and Jigba, and they've also got Zach Charbonnet. So my thing is, too, they're going to be real good on the run. They're also going to be really good on their wide receiving core. Offensive line seem to be better, but that defense with Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant and multiple others, I really like with what they're going to bring here. And against a division rival in the Rams, look out, LA. Seattle, they are not looking to play around. They really got the pieces to really show up this season. I'm going to take the Seahawks to win here 27-20 comfortably at home. The Rams, I don't even know what their offense is. It's going to be really, really tough with this offensive line and for Matt Stafford to really get the throws across.
Packers and Bears.
I like the Bears too, but can we pump the brakes here a little bit? I'm going to go with the Packers at +2.5. You call me crazy and all the rest of it. You're like, come on, Jake, how can you not believe in those Bears? Here's the thing about those Bears. Hey, Justin Fields is 5-20 as a starter. That's giving me a little bit of vibes of, does this really work or does this not really work? Now, Jordan Love can clearly play. You've also got year twos on both Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. I think that's going to be an interesting offense to watch. But has anybody paid attention to that offensive line? It always seems to be top 15 every single year. So Green Bay's not dumb. They know how to protect their quarterback. They also are very situational when it comes to defense. I like the Bears. I think they'll do some great things throughout the season. I really do, and I really hope Justin Fields succeeds. I just don't think that this is really the matchup that's really going to pertain to that. I'm going to go with Green Bay to win on the road in cold weather in Chicago, 24-23.
Raiders and Broncos.
All of this dysfunction between the Raiders and Chandler Jones, they're getting distracted up out there, and they've been distracted ever since they've been in Vegas. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos at home. Here's the thing about Mile High. It's very hard. It's challenging weather and altitude to really play in. By the way, I know a lot of you don't believe in Russell Wilson all that much, but Sean Payton literally came out and told Russell Wilson, stop being soft. So that means that there is push, there's energy, there's juice in his head coaching. And then here's the other thing. The defense, by the way, was the best in takeaways, the best in points, and Pat Surtain is looking like a promising corner. So you best believe that orange crush that they've got, they've got it. And I think that that's where the defense is really going to be stellar. I could care less for the offense because I know Russell Wilson, there's going to be a little bit of some dinks and dunks with Joe Lombardi, but they'll still be capable to win at home. I'll take them to win 27-21 over the Raiders.
Dolphins and Chargers.
This matchup, I think this is definitely a game of the week for sure because it's speed over power. I'm going to go with the Chargers here at -3. They're comfortable at home. By the way, the last time these two met last year, Tua was roughed up. And we know that Mike McDaniel's going to want to change things up because the offensive line is kind of a little suspect. But here's the thing about the Chargers. Here's a good note. J.C. Jackson, I didn't see him on the injured list, so what does that mean? Oh, he's good to go. He's good to go for week 1. He's only going to have a certain amount of snaps. but that means that there's going to be plenty of support for J.C. Jackson. They got to make that contract worth it. So I think having him there, a healthy Derwin James, another year of Asante Samuel Jr. getting better, Chargers team looks like it's really going to be taking off this well. I'm going to go with them to be winning comfortably at home in LA. 28-23 is my final score. Chargers really charge up those fishies in Miami.
Eagles at Patriots.
During the news about Juju Smith-Schuster and just how much of a circus show that this is against the Patriots, I'm going to go with the Eagles. And the Eagles right now, they've got a proven offense. They got a really good offensive line. But what's really going to give Mac Jones hell is that defensive forefront. I mean, Jalen Carter. You've also got Nolan Smith. And you've got Jordan Davis. I mean, this is stacked all the way around. Nakobe Dean. It's Georgia products on defense. But the other thing is, too, James Bradbury is healthy. And several other really good corners that could really step up. The Eagles, they've shown exactly their colors, and they have proved it against New England. But right now, it's going to be up to Bill Belichick, Mac Jones, and Bill O'Brien in that offense. I just don't know if they're able to, to really do it. It's going to be hard at home, but I'm going to take the Eagles to win 27-20 on the road in New England. That cold weather is not even going to be any difference maker.
Cowboys at Giants.
I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys because the thing about the Giants is, who in the hell is my star receiver other than Darren Waller? My thing is, the Cowboys have a really good pass rush between DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. Okay, so that's going to create a lot of hefty work for Daniel Jones. And it's going to be because now you're paid $45 million a year, man. So you better be worth that contract. The Giants, I know, had some real good stuff from last year starting 6-1. That's not going to be the case. I love Brian Dable, but you just paid your quarterback hefty money. It's Saquon Barkley. He's got another year of this offense. I'm going to take the Cowboys here on a Sunday night football game to really show up on the road against a division rival, 24-20. Cowboys win it victorious in New York.
Bills at Jets.
Game, which is going to be a huge one for Aaron Rodgers and those Jets, Jets. Not going to be a great outcome, though, with the suspected offensive line. I'm going to go with the Bills at -1. This just seems pretty low, and what disrespect for Josh Allen. Look, I know it's Aaron Rodgers, and I know it's the Jets, and I know that it's like, it's prime time Monday Night Football. But have you forgotten that they still got an offense? Also, their offensive line got a little better. And now I know that they're without Von Miller on that defense, but Greg Rousseau and several others up there, AJ Epinesa, there's a lot that you could like about this Bills defense, and they still got Jordan Poyer. So I'm going to take the Bills to win and really show up Aaron Rodgers and what it means to play in a stacked AFC conference. 28-23. Bills really give the treatment to the New York Jets on Monday Night Football. Good stuff, Taylor. Wow, that was so. Those are my picks. I'm literally excited for them. So I'm going with but there's a bunch of dogs right there. But my favorites are the Falcons, Jags, Niners, Commanders, Ravens, Seahawks, Broncos, Chargers, Eagles, Cowboys, and Bills. And my dogs that I know that are going to be barking is the ones tomorrow night with the Detroit Lions. Then I've got the Browns, the Titans, the Bucks, and of course the Packers. Look, I like Chicago. I really do. I just feel like there's just too much noise. And Jordan Love, like I said, he got the treatment like Aaron Rodgers. So I'm like, let's pump the brakes here a little bit. They still got a defense. They still got an offense. You got year two between your Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. But I'm kind of fair about some of these dog picks.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of your picks. There's only a few that I actually disagree with. And the first one that I'll say, and this actually isn't a dog pick. It's a dog pick on my end, and it's the Cardinals. Look, that's a lot of points for the Commanders to put up. Like they have to beat them by a touchdown. And as much as the Commanders you might think are pretty good and the Cardinals are just that bad, I don't think that they're going to beat them by a touchdown. I think that it's going to be an extremely low scoring game. Terry McLaurin's out of that game. He's injured with turf toe. I don't love their defense either. Like I don't know why like their defense is being touted as something good. Chase Young hasn't been great in a couple years since his injuries. I have that one personally. Cardinals +6 or +7 is the line that I had, and Commanders scoring 19 points, Cardinals 14.
That is
so
interesting.
I still think that the Commanders take it. I just think by the spread that the Cardinals are who I would take in that aspect. However, I do love your Browns pick. Look, the Browns have played the Bengals really closely the last couple years, with or without Joe Burrow, right? It doesn't matter. The Browns always play them tough. And they're getting 3 points essentially. I love that. Like give me the Browns all day.
Yeah, how could you not love that? I mean, look, it would be something where if it was like, if you gave me higher, you're better. Like, you're just telling me that it's just like, I don't know what I'm going to get with Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati's defense outside of Trey Hendrickson and a couple of other players, it's a little bit suspect in that young secondary. I don't even know exactly how I'm going to deal with that when you got Amari Cooper and you got Elijah Moore, you got David Njoku. I just think it's going to be too much for them. Cleveland knows how to play well against Cincinnati. That's why, like, the last few times it's been giving Joe Burrow a lot of fits.
Absolutely. And not only that, but the Bengals are traveling to the Browns home.
Yes.
Like this isn't a home game for them.
And that's
their
a division
dogs.
rival. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a division rival and their dogs.
Yeah. And sometimes with division rival matchups like this, like, that's why I like my pick of the Cowboys, because division rival matchup, you're on the road. That's going to be pretty pressurizing for Daniel Jones and that $45 million a year, contract. I don't know if I'm going to really get all that much from him, but like I said, and the same I'd say with the Packers. Look, I know it's Chicago and I know that they want to kick the Packers' ass, but still, like, we got to be smart about this first. I just don't think it's going to be that much of a guarantee. It usually never is.
Absolutely. And the whole controversy over Joe Burrow's foot or his leg being his calf strain, the Browns have a great defensive line. The Bengals don't have a great offensive line. They really know how to play each other. I love the Browns. That's a great pick. I know that this is crazy. I love them a lot for the spread. I still think the Bengals win by 1 point. I think it's going to be 24-23. Still think that they squeeze out a win. But it's not going to be a trouncing or anything, and the Browns cover that.
Yep.
Let me see. You had, what was your other dog?
My other dog was the Bucks.
The Bucks.
My thing is I just don't think that Minnesota, and I know that this might be a little bit of a different offense because I got a new receiver, I got a new running back. I just don't know if that's really going to be something that they can cover at -6.5. It's like I'm kind of playing with fire a little bit with Minnesota. And then you're accounting for the defense. That's why I'm like, I still think they'll win. Yeah. That's why I'm like, I still think they'll win. Just that 6.5 just doesn't look attractive to me. I'd rather take the points.
Yeah. Them having to beat the Bucks by a touchdown in order to cover the spread is kind of wild. I don't think that the Bucks are going to be as bad as people think they might be. Like, Baker is capable. He knows how to throw a deep ball. And guess what? That's what Mike Evans does really well. Yep. So I don't think that they're going to be as bad as people think that they're going to be. I actually really like that choice as well. I also have the Bucks +6. I do still think that Minnesota takes it, much like you, but I think that they win 28-24. Let's see. I like the Broncos pick. I personally, if I'm going for the spread, I would take the Raiders there, only because I still haven't seen enough out of Russell Wilson to actually like expect anything out of him. And
Yeah.
also there's already Sean Payton has already been coming out saying like, hey, focus on football instead of, he said something like kissing all these babies or something, like the
Yeah.
dude's a president or something, which is, you can already see a dysfunction in that locker room and with the team and the head coach. So, and I've heard, I don't know if you've heard this, but a lot of people on that team just don't like Russell Wilson because he's kind of a weirdo.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're gonna be the cohesive team that people are expecting them to be. However, I do love their defense. But Jimmy G has proved to be serviceable, and they have Josh Jacobs, and he is just an absolute monster, and they have Devontae Adams. So do I think that they get outscored by essentially a touchdown by the Broncos? Because I mean it's 4 points, but that's 2 scores, right?
Yeah.
I just
Well,
don't
that's a
see
good
it.
point.
Yeah, I just don't see it. So I have I would take the Raiders there. Although that is one of those games that it's just a money line bet for me, saying that the Broncos will win, because I don't like the spread either way. That it's too risky of a bet for me.
Yeah, no, it's a for sure coin flip from that point on. Like like I said, and I just know that the Raiders, since they've moved to Vegas, they've just been so dysfunctional. It's just like, it's hard to really like take them. Like, it's really hard to take them seriously. It really
Absolutely.
is. And that's why I'm like, I don't know. I'm not really kind of sold on them.
You have the Titans +3. I do as well.
Yep.
Um,
I love
however,
that pick.
yeah, I love it as well. I think that they easily cover that. Did you have the Saints winning though?
I actually did not. I actually
You had
had
the you had the
Titans
Titans?
winning that very
Okay.
close,
All
because
right.
my only thing is that, like, Derek Carr, the familiarity that, from an AFC quarterback, and you're playing an AFC defense, like, the familiarity is gonna be there. That's why I think, the Titans, they're not gonna walk away with that one, but they'll make it close enough to where it's gonna be a defensive game on both sides. But I just think the Titans are gonna get to a point where they might have the last laugh. Hell, that might even be an overtime game. That might even be
Yeah,
one where that might even just be by a field goal.
absolutely. I agree 100%. I love the Titans in that game personally. Um, I've seen a lot of Derek Carr. And I don't know, this defense of the Titans on paper doesn't look great, but for some reason, like we've discussed before, they just know how to get it done in certain situations,
Yep.
and that's why I like them.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Let's see, the Chargers. Look, I love the Chargers. I think that they're going to easily cover this -3.
Yep.
And I think that they're actually going to take it 31-24. I think you had it 28-24.
Yep.
I love the
28-23, yeah.
Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I do too, because here's the thing, is that I like Austin Jackson. That may be the only person on that offensive line, but they got to Tua multiple times. He only
yeah.
had, like, what? In the first half, he had, like, 3 of 15 that he
It was
completed.
really bad. It was
It was
a really bad game.
really bad. And that's with a Tyreek Hill. That's with a Jalen Waddle. So it's like, and here's the thing. You're gonna tell me that 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 Dolphins defense, yes, they've upgraded Jalen Ramsey.
He's not playing.
Yeah, he's not playing. So it's like, and you're expecting, Jalen Phillips to really, show up as a premier pass rusher against that proven offensive line. That's going to be really tough, in my opinion.
I agree. And not only that, the last time that these two teams played, it was 23-20 or 23-17, right? That was the final score. One of those
Should have been
scores,
more than that.
well, it should have been, because one of those scores was Tyreek Hill picking up a fumble out of a dog pile and taking it to the house.
Oh, that was bad.
If you take away that touchdown from Tyreek Hill on just a completely broken play, it's 23-10, and they don't move the ball on the Chargers at all.
So
Now you have a JC Jackson.
My play was, I think it was in the first quarter. They were playing too many out routes close to that end zone. What the hell are you doing? If you're going to strike in an end zone, slant inward. Because aren't you really trying to go for that goal line? Like that was the part that really pissed me off. And those were missing points because then it got all the way to a 4th down and then turnover on downs. Like that's just unacceptable. But like I said, they cleaned the trash with Joe Lombardi. Kellen Moore's obviously not going to perform those antics. So I think I think you're going to have a much proven offense from the Chargers.
Absolutely. And then the Bills game, I think that's going to be a great game to watch.
Yeah.
I think the Bills take it as well, 28-24. I really like the Bills in this game. Look, the Jets have a lot to prove. People are coming out strong with Jets picks. And, until they prove it, until they show everybody that Aaron Rodgers isn't a 42-year-old or just isn't ancient in general for a quarterback, then there's so much to be proven there, right? We know that Garrett Wilson is good. We know that defense is good. It's really what can Aaron Rodgers do, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's too much reliability on Aaron Rodgers. And again, I'm going to be watching this on Monday night, but one lick of frustration in that Monday night game from Aaron Rodgers, you just already know what the narrative's going to be about.
The prima donna stuff coming out.
And again, that offensive line not really giving you that kind of protection. But we knew this about them. That's just, that's just absurd. But yeah.
It absolutely is. I do like the Ravens at -9.5. However, if I were to bet this game, if I were to bet this game, I don't know if I can do that. It's the beginning of the season. We don't know what the Texans are capable of yet, right? That defense isn't as bad as a lot of people think. I mean, the Ravens really should beat them by 10. But if I'm taking this, I'm just going Ravens money line, and just it's a sure bet, right? You parlay it with a few things, because I think that they're going to blow the Texans out. I do, but 10 points in the first week of the season is just such a large spread.
And here's the thing. We've got 4 games that are 6 or more points, 4 of them. And I only have 2 that are the underdogs and 2 that are the favorites. But that's because I know with my takeaway with the Cardinals is because, first of all, they traded Isaiah Simmons. So you don't really have much of a pass rush. And your offensive line is suspect. They didn't fix this thing since Kyler Murray arrived. And they don't have, now you're relying on Josh Dobbs being your quarterback. So
that is true. That's pretty rough.
That's why I'm just like, I don't know about that. And then the Ravens was more of a coin flip, because I thought the same thing you did. But then I had to say, well, hold on. This is a first-year head coach. This is a first-year quarterback. So there are going to be some pressures there, but
absolutely,
you're also on the road in Baltimore, which that is going to be really, really loud at M&T Bank Stadium. So that's where I'm like, I think the Ravens might feast on this.
I mean, maybe it's just me. Like I have my prediction for that game right here. I have it Ravens 31-14, right? That's what I have it. So by that means, I think that they're going to blow them out, and that it's going to be a +10 victory, and you can take that bet all day. Yeah. But it's just such a large spread in the first week. It just is. It's just a really big spread.
I was nice enough to give him the 20 because I love Dameon Pierce. I think he's a very proven running back, but that's why I think that there's going to be some of those spurts that he's going to show up in that I don't think the defense really will be that prepared for. But no, I agree with you 100% with that.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. I do like your Lions pick. Look, with Kelsey out, I already thought that it was going to be a close game, to begin with, right?
Yep.
However, with Kelsey out now, like you said, when you're doing the prime predictions to begin with, who do they have to throw it to?
Yeah.
They've got what? They've got Noah Gray. They've got Sky Moore. They got Rice.
MVS.
MVS, but I don't like MVS is good for what 2 catches a game,
Yeah.
deep bombs, but like 2 catches a game.
Yeah.
And then what they do have Isaiah Pacheco, which is good. They might actually, you know what I can really see the Chiefs doing in this game? I could see them going, hey, Jerick McKinnon, you're gonna catch a lot of screen passes this game.
Yeah.
And just feeding him.
Yeah, I
Like-
can see that. Yeah. I totally can see that. I think that's going to be a very interesting game for sure. But again, it's going to come up to, Patrick Mahomes having a playoff script and Andy Reid having to really kind of repass this. The thing about Detroit is they fixed up a bunch of key areas. That defensive forefront may be challenging for Isaiah Pacheco to run through. And
It's true.
And the thing now, their offensive line is okay. The offensive line I can trust, but you've got secondaries that could possibly get up to these receivers. I don't know if they're quite ready for that yet. But and now again, Sky Moore could prove me wrong. He could prove both of us wrong. But
Yeah,
that
that's
just
true.
depends. Like, again, if I'm going to get that kind of game, then that's where I'm just like, you know what? I'm done doubting them. This just nothing
Yeah.
really just works. Nothing really throws their way.
I would love to see nothing more than you remember that Rams Chiefs game? It was like 54 to 51.
Yeah.
There's nothing more I'd love to see more than Jared Goff
can you
and
imagine?
Patrick Mahomes going at it like that.
God. And here's the thing: it's not like Jared Goff has a terrible offense. He's got a pretty decent roster. I mean, Sam
Absolutely.
Laporta, out of Iowa that they got as a new tight end, so he's got some new pieces. And
Amon Ra's good.
yep, Monroe St. Brown, and then eventually when Jamison Williams comes back from suspension, that offense is going to take off. And and by the way, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs looks great.
So that's what's going to be a big factor because no Chris Jones there. Because
Mhm.
you don't have somebody being vocal at that line to stop the run. So maybe Jahmyr Gibbs might actually be that difference maker.
Absolutely. And this is it seems like a game that the Lions should win, right? Chris Jones is out. Kelsey is out. Like all these pieces are lining up for Detroit to win this game. And if they don't, and Patrick Mahomes just goes out there and wins this game, like I hate it, but man, is that guy good, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
he has no weapons. It's pretty much like Tom Brady when he was playing, where he had like one weapon, and the rest were a bunch of no names, but they got it done every year, right?
Yep.
So
exactly.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting. I'm just really excited about these prime prediction picks. I mean, every single one of them. We'll have them all posted for our listeners. We apologize. We'll have them posted up on our social media so you're not out of the loop. So we'll have them posted up there for you. But again, I just think that because of this narrative in this league, there's, like I said, I think there's only about maybe 3 or 4 that'll underachieve for sure. But there are some interesting offenses that even if they end on a positive note on the season, then I could feel hopeful for that. But it's just too many mouths to feed. It's there's a ton of competition. And now you got a new face in Aaron Rodgers in the AFC. So that gives you a little bit. So you're out with Derek Carr in with Aaron Rodgers. That's what you got. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big improvement. I mean, at least I think Aaron Rodgers is a tad bit better than Derek Carr. It's just another testament to the AFC having just the absolute riches in the QB position.
Oh, 100%. I couldn't end up agreeing more. What a great 2 nights, man. This was a really
man, it's
good
been
week.
fun.
This was a really good week. And we ended that on a really, really good note. So I'm very hopeful about what next week will be. But with Taylor and I, we're definitely wrapping up here up on the show. We appreciate all of you guys for joining in. Like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell button for all latest notifications, keeping you up to date. Prime predictions, we'll have them posted up here a little bit later on. We'll also post up our divisions and our playoff pictures as well before the season officially starts tomorrow night. So you don't want to end up missing that. Taylor and I, see you guys later, and we'll see you next week on the next edition of the Snake Sports Talk Show. Take care of yourselves.